Imagine living in a world with only two dimensions, flat like a piece of paper. Everything you see, move, or interact with would only have length and width, no height. Now, picture a third dimension, our reality. We can move forward and backward, left and right, and up and down. But what if there's more? What if there's a fourth dimension that we can't even see? Let's dive into the world of the fourth dimension and unlock the secrets of this mind-bending concept. To understand the fourth dimension, we first need to know what a dimension is. Think of dimensions as directions or measurements we can move in. In our everyday world, we live in a three-dimensional space. The three dimensions are length. This is how long something is. Width. This tells you how wide something is. Height. This tells you how tall something is. In this three-dimensional world, we can move in any of these directions. Now imagine a world with only one or two of these dimensions, like a piece of paper. If you lived in a 2D world, you'd only know length and width. You couldn't imagine height because it wouldn't exist in your world. That's how our minds are limited to three dimensions. But what if there's a fourth one we can't see? The fourth dimension is often described as time, but in geometry and some theories in physics, it refers to an additional spatial dimension beyond the three we know. Imagine if we had a way to see the fourth dimension, we could move in 4 directions instead of just 3. But this would be impossible for us to comprehend, since we only experience 3 dimensions. Here's an easy way to understand it. A 1D world is just a straight line. You can only go forward or backward. A 2D world is a flat surface, like a drawing on a piece of paper. You can go forward, backward, left, and right. A 3D world is where we live, length, width, and height. We can move in all 3 directions. Now, a 4D world would be like an extra direction. Imagine being able to move not just left-right, up-down, and forward-backward, but also in a whole new direction that we can't visualize. It's hard to picture because we're used to only 3 directions. But that's what the fourth dimension would be, something completely different. Let's talk about a shape that represents the fourth dimension, a tesseract. A tesseract is also known as a 4D cube. You might be familiar with a cube, a 3D shape, that has length, width, and height. Now imagine a 4D cube. Just like a 3D cube casts a 2D shadow on the ground, a 4D cube would cast a 3D shadow. It's really hard for us to visualize, but it's like a higher dimensional object that we can't directly see. Think of it this way. A 2D character drawn on paper can't imagine a 3D cube because they only live in 2 dimensions. Similarly, we can't fully imagine the 4D tesseract because we only experience the world in 3 dimensions. However, if we could see in the fourth dimension, we'd be able to perceive things in ways we can't even describe. Now let's talk about the fourth dimension in terms of time. This is how scientists often think about the fourth dimension. In Einstein's theory of relativity, he combines space and time into a single idea called spacetime. Imagine you're in a car moving. You can measure how far you've traveled, space, but how long it took you is also important, time. Together, these two things, space and time, form what we think of as the fourth dimension. In this view, time is just as important as the other 3 dimensions. It's what allows things to move, change, and exist. Without time, nothing would happen. So the fourth dimension is not just about space, but about when things happen in space. Now here's the tricky part. Even though we live in a 3D world and experience time as the fourth dimension, we can't directly see the fourth dimension in the same way we see the 3 dimensions around us. We can't look around and perceive time as we can see the height or width of an object. But imagine this. A 4D being would see everything in our world at once, from every angle, in all directions. They would know everything that happens in the past, present, and future, all at the same time. It's like how we can see all sides of a 2D drawing, but we can only see the flat part of it, not the thickness. The fourth dimension is important because it helps us understand the universe. In physics, it helps explain how space and time work together. For example, we use the idea of the fourth dimension in relativity to understand how gravity works, how light moves, and even how the universe itself is expanding. The concept of higher dimensions is also used in string theory, a scientific theory that says there are more than just 4 dimensions, maybe as many as 10 or 11. These extra dimensions might help explain things we don't yet understand, like dark matter or the true nature of the universe. In the end, the fourth dimension is a concept that goes beyond what we can see and touch. It's a mind-bending idea that mixes space and time, and it challenges our understanding of reality. While we can't directly experience the fourth dimension, the way it's used in science opens up possibilities that could change the way we see the universe. Maybe one day, we'll be able to unlock the secrets of higher dimensions and understand the world in ways we never thought possible.